Hello and welcome to another episode of 4Tims in a podcast. All 4 days here the night on Tuesday the 19th of April. We're just going to discuss what happened at the weekend. The Celtic's exit the Scottish Cup semi-final. Get right into it, Tony. Game we took the lead in. Wasn't it a great game in terms of quality and first and second off, to be honest with you, but Celtic took the lead through Greg Taylor and before Rangers equalised, I think maybe between 10 and 15 minutes later, and then went on to win in extra times. But your thoughts on the game, Tony?
Far fair best performance. I don't know. It was flat. I thought the first 20 minutes was just no much football being played. It was just both teams were making mistakes that were leading to kind of half chances for the other team, but there wasn't anything spectacular. Then I thought Rangers kind of took control towards half time. Half time, you think we regroup, we go again, we've got away with it, we've not conceded. Diogo comes on, I think at the start he's quite bright. I thought O'Reilly played well overall. We get the goal, I think it takes a bit of a nick. It's a great pass by Callum McGregor into Taylor, and at that point you're thinking we're in the ascendancy. They've just played 120 minutes against Braga, so you've got a chance to think if we get a second it was game over, and of course Vickers really should put us 2-0 up, and if he scores that you probably win a treble. But overall I didn't think we were great, I must admit. I thought we were just, some of the passing was poor. I think we lost a bit of composure. The defending for their goals, we know they're going to put balls into the box. That's a major part of the game. If you put so many crosses in, you're going to get a couple at 40, and that's what happened. Tavernier just kept getting space, and despite the fact that everybody could see, it was just, that's what they were playing for. We just kept letting it happen, and that was the out ball. So they took advantage of that, and I don't really have any complaints about the outcome of the game. We really should have seen it out to penalties at least. Then it's just a lottery, but it just wasn't their day. I'm not going to go over the top about the manager or the players. I think they've been tremendous all season. Maybe just a step too far. I think we've maybe lost how difficult it is to win a treble. I think there's only been 14 trebles won in Scottish football since time began, so it's no easy. I think the Rodgers era maybe made it look as though it's an easy feat. It certainly isn't, and if we come out of this season with a Scottish League and the Scottish League Cup double, I'll be absolutely delighted. So no, I think it was just a bad day at the office, and they're playing a team that can punish you, and they did. And I don't think there's that much between the teams. I think at Ibrox we looked a lot better than them. I thought Sunday there wasn't much between them. I mean, I think we edge it, but I think too many big performers let us down. Just didn't turn up. I don't think Hugo's 100% fit. Obviously they missed the presence of Giacomakis. He was great in the 3-0 game and the 2-1 win at Ibrox, but no, we're definitely going to go into the referee, and we always call it the referees whether we win or lose, and I think it's important always to do it when you win. As I say, I don't think Bobby Madden won the game, but I think some of his decisions were fucking absolutely mental. How Lundstrom doesn't get booked. There was one Bassey, I don't know who he hacked down, I'm sure somebody can correct me. Just blatant bookings, bounce balls in the edge of the ball, letting us take a free kick, pulling it back and getting it the other way. I mean, just some really, really bizarre decision makings. And as I say, he didn't do it, and it was massive in the game to change the game, but I thought he was just fucking absolutely mental. I've said this before, the referees in this country are disgraceful. The introduction of VARs, you don't want these arseholes behind the screen. You want somebody that's actually half decent. So I'm disappointed with the result, but I think it's just a case of we need to win the next two games and we'll be the champions of Scotland, which is the main thing. As I say, there's no point in me going off my head about the manager and criticising him widely and saying he made loads of mistakes. I don't think he made that many mistakes, to be totally honest. I think it was just a case of too many big players didn't turn up, and we were missing the likes of Beaton, which is never great. We're missing, I thought if he came on, you're probably going to see the game quite comfortably at 1-0, so it happens. But no, I don't really have anything else to add. I think it's just a case of the players need to regroup and go again against Ross County.
I think you make a good point in terms of it was seen as a chance of another treble by a lot of fans, and you've got to look at where we were at the start of the season, and like you say, it's because of the success we had under Rodgers, it seemed as if that was quite an easy feat, as you say, but it's far from it. Particularly, I mean, it was difficult enough to get them out of the line when Rodgers was here, and we were sort of dominating Scottish football, but where we were at the start of the season to where we are now is obviously the difference is freaking night and day. But Tony makes a good point there. We were a lot of big players didn't turn up. Rogic, but it had a sort of particularly poor game in my eyes. I mean, not just singling him. I thought across the park there was some pretty poor performances. Jota didn't really do much. Do you think it was? I mean, the easiest way I could put it is it looked as if we'd played 120 minutes the Thursday before it, whereas they just looked as if they looked a fresher team. Would you think played a part in that?
Purely, they got a goal out of nothing to equalise, and then our response was that poor that they, as a collective, sensed it, and just by that point we gave them all the initiative to go on and win the game. Don't disagree much with what Tony says. Some parts of the day I don't think did Madden cost Celtic a game? No, but at the same time, Bassey should have got sent off and Lundstrom should have got sent off, or at the very least booked early on, and then that changes how they need to approach the game. I mean, when you give Lundstrom and Bassey, just them two in particular, like freedom to kick it and it moves, and even it's getting to the point where Bassey was fouling people and getting free kicks for it. So I think there was at least 6 or 7 decisions in the game that were at best baffling, at worst something else. But I genuinely thought I was watching a different game for a lot of people that were saying it. I think it was and I think Tony's quite right, it was a fairly even game. I thought we started really well the first 10 minutes. We were quite bright with a few openings. We never really done anything with it, but then we didn't get the early goal, which we were all kind of banking on. I think every Celtic supporter worldwide was banking on an early goal after their exploits on Thursday night, and it kind of slowed right down after that, and it reminded me it was the complete opposite at Ibrox, because I thought the problem at Ibrox was between midfield and defence. There was too much room. McGregor was kind of getting marked out of the game at Ibrox. He couldn't come and take the ball off the centre half, so we were getting vulnerable. But the other day there was too much room between the midfield and the attack this time, so we couldn't really get anything going. But with tonners at openings, I thought Rogic did a really good pass for Jota, and Jota should have just drove in and goal, and he cuts back and lets Tavernier. He was already by Tavernier. Like, if he takes a touch inwards and drives it goal, Tavernier's either got to let him go or bring him down. And I don't know what happened to Jota. He looked lost at times, although he kept going, but at the same time he looked as if he just didn't. Though I say he didn't fancy it, because you would never accuse a Celtic team of not turning up. But there were some times where Jota was getting the ball and you thought, just take him on, like, and he wasn't doing it. Rogic, I thought, was a man down, and then it was very clear that they were just going to pull at Rogic and haul at him and get away with it most of the game. But I thought he was poor. But I thought it was an even game. I thought they had a couple of openings. I mean, Lundstrom hit the post. That was, Hart was beating all ends up with that. But then I just kept thinking it was an even game. And then after about 55, 60 minutes, I thought one goal's going to be enough here. And then we get it. And I know it took a deflection, don't get me wrong, but it's a terrific goal. I mean, it's right after the training run. If you see it for the side on angle, you see Taylor, he makes a brilliant run. And it's a great pass for McGregor, and we got our rewards for that, because I did think, you create something like that, you deserve a wee bit of luck. And I was delighted for Taylor. He's taking a lot of stick. I didn't think he had a particularly good game, but I was delighted for him. I was delighted for Darren, who'd backed him at 101 for the first goal, and I thought that was going to be it. And then I thought we were cruising, and I thought we've pulled me up in that. And I've not went back and watched the full game again. I've seen some highlights, and I genuinely thought we were going to see it out. I didn't. Maybe it was just because only 2 weeks ago we seen them out for 45 minutes. I thought we could see them out for 28, but I genuinely thought we were going to see it out. I didn't see any danger. I thought, right, they'll pump balls into the box, but Carter Vickers and that are there, and then they get a goal out of nothing. I don't think Tavernier's aiming the cross for there. I think he's sclaffs it a wee bit, falls to Arfield, and it's a lovely finish to give them a bit of due. And then I thought we were lucky to get extra time after that. I thought we sat right after them, there were no response, and then in extra time I don't know if injuries put paid to us and whatever, but when we were into extra time and Welsh came on, and it was him and Forrest on the right, and it was like, how the fuck did that happen? And then was it the first half, Kyogo get put through, and I think that pass for, I think it was O'Reilly, was a fucking phenomenal pass to Kyogo. And 6 months ago, Kyogo takes that on and dinks it out of the keeper, and he looked so, I think he let Goldson get back, or Bassey, I don't know, but he let one of them get back, and I was just thinking, I had a really horrible feeling the whole extra time. And then it was compounded when we had good play on the left. Jota kind of cut in, but then he played a wee reverse pass out left, and Anthony Ralston ran onto the ball, and I thought, we're fucked. And Ralston didn't even want to kid on to the left foot, and I think he ended up falling out the ball or something, and I just thought, we're fucked. And after, their goal was coming, we sat after them, and then it was coming. Starfelt was really unlucky, and there's not much he can do. Thought it was really poor play by Forrest. I know people are saying he's done and whatever, and that footage doesn't look too good for him going forward, but you need to make more of an effort than that to get back. Foul him. If you can't get a ball off him, just foul him. Trip him up. Roof get away with one. Just trip him up. And then you just knew we weren't going to score with no real response, and there was no inspiration in the team. team. There was no invention. It seemed to be that they were just hoping something would fall for them. And it was really disappointing, really. I know there's a whole lot of perspective going on, and folks saying, in July, when you're going to Michelin with Dane Murray and Stephen Welsh at the back, if you were saying you'd be on for a double with 3 weeks, 3 weeks before the end of the season, you would bite your horn off. Of course you would, but at the same time, we're 10 minutes away from having the chance to go for a fifth treble in 6 years, so it's going to sting, and to lose to them, who, honestly, my honest assessment is the only way they can beat us is if they make the game scrappy. I think the problem in April was the problem 2 weeks ago was that they thought they could take 6 off us and they get called, and I think they've realised now that if they just keep it scrappy and they've got a referee that will let them away with, we're not even talking like 50-50s here, we're talking textbook bookings, we're talking the fact that betting companies and people that do stats have already registered the booking because the tackle's that fucking blatant, and then they're having to go back and correct their error 5 minutes later because they've realised that the ref never booked the player. You get away with things like that, make the game scrappy, you can really get it. Celtic, and do you know what, the most frustrating thing, and I know I've ranted a wee bit here, Andy, but the most frustrating thing for me is we only had to up it 5 or 10% and we would have cruised through that game, and we nearly got away with it when Carter Vickers hit the bar. It was harder to hit the bar than it was to fucking score, and somehow he's managed to hit the bar, and as I say, we didn't need to do much more to win. Up at 5-10%, we probably win 2 or 3-0. But just frustrating, just really frustrating. And I'm quite sad that we're not going to win a treble, because I think it would have been a great end to the year. Obviously, Scottish Cup final, last game of the season, you want to be there. But you can't feel sorry for yourself. You just need to kick on now. We've got a massive game on Sunday to go after it. And, the main objective is to win the league. And if you'd have said to us 2 weeks ago, you're going to play them twice in the next 2 weeks, you could only win one game, you wouldn't have seen a Celtic fan pick Hampden. So we won the big one against them, but we need to confirm that, status of going winning Sunday, regardless of the result, winning Sunday, and then beat them at Celtic Park, and then you can say, right, okay, enjoy your cup final, we're too busy away, straight into the Champions League.
You've covered quite a lot, Danny, but I think you made a few good points. Just on the referee, and you've mentioned 2 players there, but even I think before that, I think Aribo could have been sent off in the first half, but he's already doing a booking, and then I think he counted 3-4 minute fouls.
Aye, but Andy, see something as well, I don't want to take up too much of time, but did you think they targeted Rogic and Juranovic?
Aye, I was just about to say this. For me, it was Rogic and Juranovic to get all the attention. That's obviously discussed as. It was something I was just about to come on to. Just quickly, I thought the Carl Vickers chance, I thought the one he scored against him, Ibrox, probably a harder chance. This one, he just has to put it in target. He doesn't have to try and be too fancy about it. Just hit the net, but he's lashed it. He's a centre half. I wouldn't be too critical on it. But Danny's just mentioned there, and I completely agree with it. I think 2 players were targeted in Rogic and Juranovic, and Juranovic is half injured. And I think a lot of Celtic fans have made the big point about the depth that we feel we've got now and how far away it is from what we did have. But I thought what we've seen getting into the latter stages of that game, particularly Juranovic, because I feel he's such a massive outlet. Not just defensively, I think he's a good wee defender, but I think going forward, he's so key for us at times. So comfortable in the ball. He does exactly what Ange wants him in terms of coming into the park, but he's also got that threat. So, he's shown he's not afraid to take a shot on for the edge of the boat. Decent cross to the ball. Happily gets down the outside as well when that's called upon. We went into the second half missing him in that position, who's so key. Bring Ralston on. Greg Taylor then has to go off, and an alternative fullbacks then Stephen Welsh. So your fullbacks then become Welsh at right back and Ralston at left back, and never at any point did I feel comfortable after that. We felt so thin after so much being made of how much depth we had in the squad, and I think that's even further played into with the fact that your subs also consisted of James Forrest, and I thought that the performance out of him was really lacklustre.
Definitely, I think what you and Danny are speaking about is what I was going to come on to. It was that I thought that the game we won in February, I thought had a lot to do with Juranovic and how well he played, and then the game at Ibrox, I thought Tom Rogic and Greg Taylor were the best players on that day, and I think what Rangers done was just pretty simple. I think they just looked to pretty much man-mark their three, and especially our fullbacks, not being able to be really successful in what Ange wants them to do was sort of you could see how much it affected their play. It just didn't look how we've looked, and for the best part of the season we were also on a great domestic run, and that's unfortunately came to an end. But actually I thought that they just kept them them quiet. And like I think I thought it was pretty evident early on that it wasn't going to be Rogic's day, and like, I know they went in flying in a few tackles, but you can sort of tell with Rogic sometimes if it's not happening in the first 20-25 minutes, you can sort of get a sense that it's not going to be his day. But I thought that the game in general, especially the first half, was really sort of poor in quality for both teams. I don't think either was really at it, and I don't know, it was one of the games I think everybody knew how much was on the line. Obviously being a semi-final, it's that sort of one-off game where any mistake's going to be pretty punished, and it's obviously tough that the end the way it did. But I thought the second half we actually started really well. I know of that great chance with Rio Hatate early on, and I know it was probably offside with Dice and Maeda, but it was a great chance, and I think that chance in itself was a great opportunity to take a lead. But as we have so often this season, we just kept going and eventually got the goal through Greg Taylor, probably the most unlikely goal scorer on the park, and I thought it was an excellently worked free kick. It was completely deserved at that point, and I actually thought our set pieces were pretty poor throughout the day. Like, there was a lot of short corners that we wasted, but you can't really hold that against the team when the goal comes from that, and then you get another set piece only a few minutes later and sort of breaks. I think it comes off Kyogo. It's a pretty poor touch, but it lays off brilliant for Carter Vickers, and I think he's just leaning back and it just somehow manages to hit the bar, and I don't think they would have come back from 2-0. I think that would have been the game there, and it was a weird one. It was like, I think everybody in the stadium and everybody watching on the telly, as soon as they equalised, I think everybody knew that they were going to go and win. It was we'd spoke about at Ibrox how the Celtic team responded to going behind. It was like the complete opposite in terms of like both how Rangers responded to going behind, but also how Celtic failed to respond to conceding an equaliser. Like, it just did sort of feel academic. I agree completely with what Danny said. I thought we were pretty lucky to get to extra time, and then even, I know we didn't get to penalties eventually, but the longer that extra time was gone, it just did feel inevitable. I don't think it was the sort of onslaught that we got in 2019 in terms of how many saves Joe Hart had to make. I think he had maybe one great one from Tavernier, but apart from that, I think he was relatively untested. But felt like one of the big dynamics of your play that we were missing was Giakoumakis. Like, obviously we'd spoke about would you play Kyogo, would you play Giakoumakis? Obviously it turned out it was neither when Dice and Maeda started up front, and for Maeda, he done what you were going to get, you knew you would get from him. I thought he just sort of tried to chase everything down, tried to find space, but that wasn't really presented with any opportunities. And like the equaliser that we concede is just sort of, I don't think that happens if Giakoumakis is on the park, because it comes from, I think it's Goldson that plays a diagonal to Tavernier, and that was the sort of thing that Giakoumakis was stopping them from doing in at Ibrox and at Celtic Park. And I think there'll be a few people disappointed with their attempt to block the cross, because it's a pretty poor cross and it sort of just goes across our 3 or 4 defenders, and finish is great, Hearts no chance, but it's a pretty poor goal to concede. And then the second goal was just even worse. Like, what annoyed me most was when we get away the free kick, I think it's Kamara that goes to take it. Matt O'Reilly and Kyogo are there to try and stop him taking it quick, and he puts it right between the two of them, and 10 seconds later the ball's in the net. And I just thought the fact that they two had clearly identified that they wanted to stop him taking the free kick quickly, and he still managed to, was really poor. After that, I just thought the only time I was really disappointed with the team was after that goal, because I felt that we seen the game out for Rangers. I felt that we were sort of lack of response and lack of plan B to try and get the ball forward was just pretty poor, and evidently we didn't even seem to get one real chance to get an equaliser. So like, for me, that was a big disappointment, but I think the game was gone at that point. I don't know if we deserved to lose the tie on the basis of the play in terms of the chances I've mentioned with like Hatate and Carter Vickers, but I think from the equaliser onwards, we definitely deserved to lose the game, and I think you need to let the team away with it, because it has been so long. Like, I says to you, I'm not going to judge this team until after Sunday at Dingwall, because that'll sort of show you what this team's made of. And I felt like the sort of way that Cal McGregor sort of rallied the troop after the full-time whistle and then took the players to the fans to get applause, or to applaud the fans that were there, was sort of reminiscent of when we lost to Tynecastle for the undefeated run when that went. But as I say, I think Sunday's massive. Just on Bobby Madden, I thought he was fucking terrible. I think we've got this sort of culture in Scotland where you allow these fucking idiots like Madden to make themselves into wee celebrities through shite like open goal and that, and you give them this sort of role that they can come in and they like, I think that's the best way to describe it. They think they're celebrities, and they think that they can really have their own say and make it their game. And like, I know there's a lot of talk about, Madden didn't stop Celtic winning, or he didn't win the game for Rangers, and I think as much as people will say that, I think he evidently did stop Celtic winning the game in terms of like consistently poor performance. Another consistently poor performance from him in terms of punishing players for clear bookings and breaking Celtic play up, and just in general letting them away with fucking kicking fuckers. I thought that even the ones that were booked it was a case that some of them could have been red. I thought Ryan Jack's tackle on Hatate at the end of the first half was fucking shocking, and then the Kemar Roof one that he gets booked for on Maida was as bad as it come as well. I think it's an absolute cynical professional foul that could have seen red as well. And I know there's compilations going about it Lundstrom, but the fact he wasn't even booked is just preposterous. And like, these guys should be held to account. Like, they're getting a wage. Like, the clubs are paying into this. I don't know if the VAR vote today, but Celtic should be really getting answers for why each of these decisions wasn't yellow carded or wasn't deemed necessary, because it's the influence he had on, like, it completely justified the reaction Celtic fans had when he was announced as a referee for the semi-final. Andy,
see, just before you go on, Andy, see what Dan said there. I think with the VAR, right, like, we should have had a penalty. I mean, Barisic is down in the box when he hodls the ball, so I don't know why, like, they gave us then the free kick it took, I think it was about 5 yards away from the line when he took it free. So, I mean, like, some of the decisions were just baffling, but do you know what the most ironic thing is, right, about us, and me and Darren have quite openly said we were lucky to get extra time, but we were fucking time wasting for like the 10th minute. Every time we bought out of play, McLaughlin was like doing as if he was going to kick it at one end and then he'd pick it up and take it to the other. They were playing for penalties fucking pretty much early on. It was bizarre, and I think, of course, the hyperbole kicked in. They're the best team that's ever lived, and they proved that they were better than us over the course of the season on Sunday, apparently. And the Scottish Cup's most important trophy of the season now. So how we console ourselves by only going for the league is going to be tough, but I'm sure we'll be able to manage it.
I mean, I take no notice of the shite they say at the best of times, but we all knew exactly what was going to happen. Regardless of the result, they'll make up some pish. Like you say, Scottish Cup's now the best trophy you could ever win in football. As I say, it's disappointing to lose it, disappointing not to be on for another treble, but the season was all about winning the league. They know as well as we do that's what it was about. So obviously you can be disappointed in the game, but still proud of where the team are, and hopefully they will see it out. But the referee was a fucking disgrace. There's no getting away from it. I don't really. I try to avoid leaning on it too much as an excuse, and I'd probably be happy today. So if we were outstanding, came away from the game feel as if we've really been cheated there. I mean, there was a lot of dodgy decisions, like you say. Should have probably had the penalty. So, I mean, if they get 3 red cards in any other game, you wouldn't have been surprised with some of the shite they were getting away with, and it would have changed the game. But again, were we good enough to take advantage of that? I'm not sure. We were really after that day, but you never really know in games and situations like that. But that referee, regardless, he shouldn't be near a game of that magnitude in the country. He should be fucking about refereeing games in the second and third division now, because it really was nothing short of disgrace. And do you see the shite he's posting online afterwards? He just fancies himself as a wee celebrity, and as you say, it doesn't help when you've got fucking stupid videos of him on things like open goal and all that, and they're trying to make him seem like a likeable character. He clearly just a fucking idiot that should have no business being in Hampden unless he'd paid for a ticket, and even then that'd have been a push. But something I wanted to bring up, Danny, and this is no criticisms of the manager or anything like that, but something for me that I found it surprising was that we started, and when I seen the front three, I thought we were going to see a badder through the middle again, because obviously it's something we've seen previously when we had issues with Giacomakis and Kyogo being out and things like that. But I thought more so because the success Maida had against Tavernier when we played them before, I thought, you know how much they rely on him. They want to get him high, wide and help him across the ball at any opportunity. And the success we've had with Maida, no letting him get anywhere near our half previously, just surprised me that we didn't do that again. We didn't just put him out left and let him be that, because they're so heavily reliant on that right-hand side at times, especially when they're up against it. And out of possession, they will just look to Tavernier to sort of bail them out with a cross into the boat. So that surprised me. And then again, I thought Hatate, just when obviously the game was dragging on and he was starting to get tired legs, I thought the substitution of Turnbull should have came sooner. It was surprising that I couldn't really see why it wasn't done.
No, I actually think the inclusion of Barisic switched up the front three. I think we would have seen a badder through the middle until Barisic was in their starting 11, and I think Ange thought he could get at him again. Big pitch at Hampden, he could probably get at Barisic, and I didn't think Barisic or Tavernier had particularly good games, but neither did our two wingers. But I did thought when I seen the lineup that it was going to be Abada through the middle, and then after about 5-10 minutes, it just something that came to me in the head that I thought, well, maybe Ange just thought, well, Abada had a lot of joy, because there was one where Abada skipped in and out of Barisic and had a shot after about 8 minutes. It wide the target harmlessly, but maybe that was just, on an odd day, that would have been a sign of things to come. I find it hard to criticise the manager. I seen a good mate of ours, Melbourne, on Twitter saying that, this is probably the first time, as well as the Bodo first leg, but first time domestically that since Ange has got a squad that the team have probably properly let us down, but haven't hit the heights, and and you kind of need to agree with it. It's not happened very often since he's got his own squad together, and there's still a long way to go, as you can see, to build in the squad. But I just thought that was a mistake, no starting Abada through middle, because I think as much as I thought the game plan was fairly simple, I thought we were, as I said about midfield and attack, when a wee bit too detached. I think the plan was quite clearly catch them out of the tap, but they sat deep enough that we only really get in a couple of times and never done anything with it. But Turnbull should have been on a lot sooner. Turnbull should have come on in 90 minutes before full time. I think Beaton was such a big miss. I've said it on here repeatedly. Andy's use of Beaton has been one of the kind of better things this season. Kind of like the way Rodgers used, Armstrong when he, and obviously Armstrong became central midfielder for us and was one of our better players in Rodgers' first season. But in terms of you could point and say, his use of players that are already there, that was one of the best things about Rodgers, was he turned all the players that were there into world beaters. And Ange's use of Beaton kind of reminded me of that. What he's found a role for this guy, and Beaton's is, I know there's a few daft moments where he's getting himself sent off and stuff, but I thought we really missed him. I thought if he comes on, we probably see it out. And then you need to ask a question about McCarthy and he'd get to you. I mean, who's, certainly James McCarthy, whose space is he taking on the bench if he's there? Because do you just game it? Do you just trust him? Do you put his experience in and say, we've got 15 minutes here to see out a cup semi-final, go on and see it out for us? Is he that bad that he can't come on? I thought don't get me wrong, I thought Hatate had a good game. I don't think Hatate was awful. I thought he played quite well. Certainly in the first half, I thought he held on to the ball really well, him and McGregor. But do you know something as well? They done something that they done under Lennon when Lennon was your manager, and we never responded to it. Was the ice. They tried to mark McGregor out the game, so they targeted Rogic and Juranovic down the right, but it was kind of 3-4-on-1 against McGregor at times, and they'd done that before. Gerrard was quite good at that, and they got us there. But I've just thought Ange's use of subs. I've never really seen the bench. I know I think he made all 5, but I was maybe looking for a wee bit of invention. I've just been thinking about this, but when Taylor goes down and he's got to take him off, I mean, I would have put maybe McGregor at left back or Hatate at left back. Apparently Hatate can play there, we've heard, and put Turnbull on. And I know people say we should put McGregor for it, he's the best midfielder, but at that point, your extra time, it's all about getting through extra time. Either are you going to go to penalties or are you going to try and win it? And I just thought Turnbull came on far too late and we didn't really get in. I thought Kyogo was a bit of a dull spark. I didn't think he played well. Maybe it was just an occasion he couldn't get into the game. Maybe it'd have been better starting so he could feel his way into the game. But I just thought maybe it was, but to be fair, I thought he was isolated, and I think O'Reilly was really good when he came on. He was really good when he came on for us. He won the ball a lot up the park. I thought his passing was a lot better than what we were getting for others. But there just seemed to be something lacking, didn't there? It was just a spark, and it's funny saying there's a spark missing when all our kind of flair players were on the park, but there was something definitely missing. And I don't know if it's I don't know, but I'm going to just guess, Andy, that it was the space that Giakoumakis creates with his physicality. And I'm not saying Giakoumakis is the number one striker at the club. I still think it's Kyogo. I've said it for day one, and Kyogo's probably the best player at the club. But I just think Giakoumakis is something that we've not had against them in a while. And it's quite clear that they don't like playing against Giakoumakis. They targeted him at Ibrox. And I think him not making it was a big boost for them. And as I say, I think what happened is, we're banking on them being tired, and at the end of the day, we gave them something to go for. They're human beings. Some of them are. They're professional football players, and you give them something to go for. They're going to go for it. You've seen it. Then, as Dan quite rightly said, they'd all the momentum in extra time. And I thought getting to 90 minutes, getting to extra time would help us. I thought it would maybe kill the momentum and we could come out and assert ourselves, but we just never done it. And I think the boys have said it, but we got what we deserved in extra time. But I can't really. I don't want to come on and criticise the manager. He's been brilliant for us. He's made some decisions that were wrong over the course of the season, but he's got a lot more right. And do you know what? It's the big one's on Sunday now, and we just need to go there. I'm certain they'll get it right on Sunday, and next year we can talk about completing the treble.
Aye, as you say, like it hurts because the opportunity was there. And listen, you don't want to see Celtic lose any game, let alone a cup semi-final to that mob. But it's always going to hurt given the circumstances and given that it could have been a potential another treble. But just to a final few things on the game before we do move on. Dan, I think Danny makes a lot of points about it. Looked as if there was a sort of sparkness and a bit of flair or something. Just it's maybe that thing you can't coach so much, just that invention for the player, that drive. You've seen it with McGregor when he takes 3 or 4 on at Ibrox. I think a moment like that, it was almost as if we were missing something, or you're maybe looking to like a Jota to skip by 2-3 and stick it in a plate for someday. Just a wee bit of invention, one of the Rogic half turns or something. I think that we missed parts of the game, but I think Danny's right. We're obviously going to, or you would like to think we're going to be in a far stronger position again moving into next year. I think it was while our team is massively improved in terms of depth, I think you've seen where the frailties still kind of lie. Really, McCarthy and Johnston and probably Degucci never really had a shot of coming on. If they couldn't have came on the park when players were drafting like flies, you got into 120 minutes extra time, then they're obviously either no trusted or just no good enough, and that's what it's going to come down to. So it's something I think next season will be drastically improved, and obviously we all look forward to that. But it's a strange one, Dan. Like I say, I'm not coming away for the game massively disappointed in terms of thinking that they ain't any different for the side that I thought they were. I think they had a game plan. We probably relied too heavily on them being tired. We probably looked at extra time against Azir Neville last that. But I think just a squad that they dragged us into a fight, and I think we did miss that element of Giakoumakis that would have really combated that. But it's not something that worries me at all going forward. I think the manager, like you say, he's made errors in the past, but he's learned from them. I think this will be no different, Dan. And for me, going forward, it might be something that the manager will learn mass amounts about certain players, mass amounts about the team and how we deal with things. It's another big occasion and experience under a lot of players' belts who have not experienced it before. So I think it's something we could look to, and you've got to take the positives for these situations, and hopefully the team will be all the better for it.
Aye, definitely, Andy. It's very small margins that lost us that game on Sunday, because if we've already spoke about the big chances that we did have to make it 2-0, and in another day one of them goes in and you've got the chance to just sort of see it out, and I think it would have just sort of killed the game completely if we had got the second at the time. And I don't know, it's sort of, I think the way that we started, they would have got a boost win, because they were probably wondering before he got injured, they're probably wondering, is it going to be Giakoumakis or Kyogo? And then it turns out it's neither, and it's not even it's neither. You end up playing Maeda, and I think a lot of fans have finally come round to appreciating what Maeda does, and I think most would agree that he's better suited out in the left. And so not only are you missing Giakoumakis and Kyogo for this game, you're also playing Maeda in that position. And look, he's a player that can play in a few positions, but it sort of drains you one of your better players in that sort of position of the pitch. And obviously later in the game, as you're speaking about the sort of lack of spark, if you did have Kyogo or Giakoumakis on from the start, then you've got the option of either Abada, Jota or Maeda, whatever one's on the bench, you've got them to come on, because I think Matt O'Reilly was probably the only real sub that we made on Sunday that had any impact. I thought he was very effective, and he always looking to make things happen. I think if Hayton had brought him on at half time, I thought it was pretty evident that we needed that sort of injection. I know he came on quite early in the second half, but for me, I would have had him on at half time just to sort of get that from the get-go of the second half. But the other subs, you can't really legislate for likes of Taylor and Juranovic getting done injured and being completely gubbed, and Kyogo was sort of one that I agree with Danny. I probably think in hindsight it's a wonderful thing, but it probably would have been better to start him and just get 60 minutes out of him and then look to your bench, because I think there was the one at the start of extra time first half where he get put through, and it's weird, I've seen it back and I think he sort of looks to put himself in behind Batty, I think it is, but he's sort of, Batty's just a bit to the side of him, so it looks sort of daft. It almost looks like he cuts back, but I think it is more down to Kyogo sort of trying to get in behind and then realising that Batty isn't quite where he thought he was. And it's sort of, you never want to downplay Celtic players, but when you seen the start of the extra time and you've got your right hand side was Stephen Welsh and James Forrest, it just gave you absolute no confidence. Like Welsh, for me, Welsh didn't even look like he'd ever played football before. I thought he looked so nervous, so terrified to touch a ball. He kept playing the ball either straight to a Rangers player or out of play. Like, and I get that he's a centre half now, but it's not that different to try and accommodate your game to that. He just looks so alien to playing that role. And James Forrest for me was just again another terrible performance from him. I think Celtic's outgrown him, and I think it is time that we look to improve in that area, because I thought that if you get this player who's supposedly still one of your big players, then he needs to come off the bench and look to be roasting Barisic, because that's a player who's played 120 minutes on Thursday and then getting an extra time. He should have been fucked. I know he gets subbed in extra time, but Forrest should have been looking to go at him every single time. But for me, he was just hiding away from the ball again. But I'm obviously gutted that we didn't, and I'm glad we didn't lose in the final to them, because that would have been even worse. But as I say, Andy, it's small margins. It's nothing that I'm worried about. I think although we improved the squad in January, I think it's going to be a case in the summer of looking to improve the quality rather than the quantity now.
I think that's exactly what I was sort of getting at. It's these sort of small areas of the field that we're going to improve on, so you're better prepared for situations like that. But we've covered the game, Danny, and like you say, it's disappointing, but we turn our attention to the big one. And that's what we've got today. Players have got to pick themselves back up. I think we'll be in a good position today that way. Ange in charge and McGregor as the captain. I really do think the players will have been away working hard, focused again to get this out of the line. It matters so much, not just for the fans, for the season, for everything like that, for the club going forward, for what it can mean in terms of Champions League football and the money involved in that. It really will help us bring in that quality that we were talking about. Sunday, Ross County, obviously, like you say, Danny, you wouldn't think I wouldn't like to think there'll be too many tired legs, but it was a place where we struggled up there, struggled down the line up there previously. Anthony Ralston got a 97th minute winner. What you think of the game? Do you think there'll be too many changes, or how are you feeling getting into it?
I do not want to have to go through another one of them fucking 97 minutes at Christmas. I don't want to have to go through that. I'm confident. Listen, I think the team we've no lost in the league. It was our first defeat domestically in 8 months or something, 7 months. So you need to just back the team to go again. Every time we've been beat this season, we've responded really well. I think I'm pretty sure I'm saying that. Even, we didn't win at Hibs, we went and won the next, 7 or 8 games. So get no doubts that the team will respond for us. As I say, I was on here last week talking about Ange always gets a base level of performance out of the team, and then I actually thought Sunday they fell short of it. But at the same time, I don't think you could ever question their effort, the team's commitment to the cause. And at the end of the game, you seen it. I think McGregor, Dan was right. I mean, I never seen it. I was away by that point. I'd fucked off up the road. But McGregor get the team together, and the crowd gave the team a good response, which is always nice. People are at a game. I know I'd fucked off at the pub, but if I was at a game, I would have gave the team a response. It's been a hell of a season so far, and do you know what? Everybody that's going up to Dingwall at the weekend will be absolutely buzzing for it. It's a wee bit earlier kick-off on a Sunday, so I think they'll get merry a drink in. And do you know what? It'll be good. And I think, as I say, I'll back the team to respond. We'll know with the news that Rangers game now is a Saturday. I know we'd know anyway, but I know it's completely irrelevant. If we win, we win. That's just how it goes. But at the same time, we'll have 24 hours to respond. I mean, if they don't win on Saturday against Motherwell and we beat Ross County, we can win the league at Parkhead against them. And so that'll be a boost for us going in. So, and if they win, then we know that we just need to go and win again. And that's as simple as that. And as I say, their results are irrelevant unless they don't win. And then, do you know what I mean? So then we can set up a league clincher. But, at the end of the day, nothing changes. And I'm looking forward to Sunday. Really. Part of me is tensely nervous about it. But I'm right up for it. As I say, my nerves... I thought after half an hour against Midtjylland that my heart would give away this season. I'm quite fucking glad I've made it to the split, and I've made it a cup semi-final and a League Cup win. So hopefully I can see you in the next couple of games. But it's been a hell of a season, and I can't wait for Sunday. I'm buzzing because I think there'll be, I don't know if you agree, Andy, but I think there'll be plenty of boys in that Lennoxtown this week that are chomping at a bit to get to Sunday.
I actually completely agree with you. I think I just get a feeling about the team. I think we're going to see a response. I don't think they're going to have taken it well. I really do think it would have been back into training, get the heat done, and get the other the line. And I think Ange will be drilling that into them as well. They want that success as well as anybody, and it will not be I don't see usually in a situation like this you could be maybe fearing a bit of sort of complacency creep, and a wee bit of a chain reaction, but I just don't see that with this team. I've spoken about that before. I think the league, it's been something that we've not found affected by other sort of outside influences other than the league games as they come one by one. So I do agree with you. I think it will be sort of back to it, sort of best foot forward and get into the game and get a positive result. I'm looking forward to it myself. I think it'll be a good performance. In terms of the team, I'm not sure, but Dan, do you think there's maybe given that sort of giving some performances or the tired legs or anything like that? Do you think there's an argument to be made that you could maybe see the starter sort of Turnbull getting a start back in the team, given his back for injury and came off the bench a few times, or do you feel there's anybody else? I've not actually seen if there's an update again on Juranovic, so how you sort of thinking about the squad going into the game?
Yeah, I don't know about Turnbull. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see him in, Andy, but for me, the one change that has to be made is Matt O'Reilly. I think he has to come in. And Sunday, I think that he came off the bench against St Johnstone last week and was excellent, and then was a real driving force for us on Sunday when he came off the bench against Rangers. So I think he has to start along with Cal McGregor, and then it really is up to yourself who you play, whether it's Hatate or Rogic or Turnbull. Like, I think you could make the argument for all three. Like, I know I did think Rogic was great on Sunday, but I think very foolish to write off Tom Rogic. There's every chance he'd turn up and be a magician again. And so in that aspect, for me, it would be McGregor, O'Reilly and one other. I'd probably go for Hatate. I know it sort of looked like he was dead in his feet towards the end of the game on Sunday, but for me, I think I would go with Hatate. As you say, you don't know about the fullbacks. It depends on their injuries. Like, obviously, you're hoping at least one of them's back, because wouldn't be proud if we went there with, say, like Sir Ralston at right back and Scales at left back. Like, I know they're competent enough to play there in the SPFL, but I just very much rather have the fullbacks like sort of between Ralston, Taylor and Juranovic, so 2 of the 3 would do me. And then for me, I think you just have to play one of the strikers. If Giakoumakis is fit, I would probably play him, but if he's not, I think you need to just throw Keogh go in and go with that sort of recognised striker, just because I think you need to play Maeda out wide from the start. I think he would be pivotal to us on Sunday, and just as I mentioned earlier, I wouldn't like to see him through the middle, because I just think it sort of takes a bit away from our left hand side. But I'm very much looking forward to it. As you said, like, they're playing before us, so we could be only 3 ahead, or could be 5, or even still 6 hopefully. But all we can do, we've not got to the Scottish Cup finals, but we've still got 5 games that we need to treat as finals, and if we just take care of our business, we'll be champions soon enough. Whether that be 2 weeks time and 3 weeks time, whenever it happens, it will happen if we treat these games with the sort of way they should be, and we should look to bounce back. I think we've got a manager that will instill that in the players, and I think we've got a captain and a squad in general that will really get that drilled into the team. But I don't think it'll be an easy game by any means. Like, I know we played brilliant against them at Celtic Park the other week, and I think we only scored 4 that day, but on another day it could have been a lot more. I think they sort of just shut up shop once they get their red card. But I think in the league, is it 4 or 5? The top 4 or 5 are getting European places, so that's obviously very tight for them. So Ross County will be desperate to try and get in about that. So it'll be a massive game for them, as massive as for them as it is for us, but we should have enough. And I think the team's just really responded in the right way when they have had a few setbacks this year, and I think they'll have the same again on Sunday, Andy.
That's it. I think the big thing in any sort of league season is how you respond to setbacks, because you do get them. It's football, that's what happens. But I think there's a lot of good points in there, and I mean, on the Kyogo thing, I think when he came off the bench, the way I sort of interpreted his performance was that's why he didn't start. I think sort of match fitness is something you can't really prepare for, and I think it was probably Ange felt that it wasn't a risk worth taking. But like you say, hindsight is the best thing in the world, because we could look and say, oh, it might have been different if he started. But I think, judged on what I seen of Kyogo when he came off the bench, it was the right decision. But like you say, he's going to have another sort of week of training. He's going to have obviously what he did play the semi-final, and then a week of training in his legs. Get up there starting him might be the best choice. It wouldn't surprise me, I think, given that we're obviously quite light with strikers, that'll that'll likely happen. I'd be surprised if Ange went again and sort of put Maeda through the middle. I think there's a bit of truth in what Danny says in terms of we maybe changed it up to try and cope a bit better because they brought Barisic back in. I think there probably is a bit of truth in that. So I'd be fairly surprised if it wasn't Maeda back out on the left-hand side, and I think that just makes way for Kyogo to come in. And again, hopefully it's something he comes in and he'll be another one to brush off the cup final and other cup semi-final and go and get his name in the score sheet. But a day I'm looking forward to it, because I always liked how this team react. At times I think they show so much character, and I think that's something that we are going to see at the weekend. But Danny, anything you want to add on the lineups before I move on to sort of predictions and how you think the game will go?
No, I think it'll be alright. I would agree with Dan actually. I would just bring O'Reilly in, and if Giakoumakis isn't, do you know if Giakoumakis is fit, I'd start him with Kyogo at this moment in time. But aye, how do you think the game will go? I think we'll win. I think we'll get a response out of the team, and we'll get a really good response out of the team, and we'll win the game. I think I'm right in saying that fourth place gets group stage fitbit in the Conference League, so that's obviously up for grabs as well. I know Hearts are straight into at least the Europa League group stages, I think now. So
I think Hearts have got. They'll have one Europa League playoff.
Is that a playoff?
If they lose it, they're right into conference group. No sure about fourth place. I think they maybe have one qualifier for conference. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm pretty sure fourth place guarantees group stage in the conference. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure I seen something today with that last week, and people were talking about Dundee United and Ross County still having stuff to play for, rather than just being happy that they're not a relegation scrap. So I mean, we're talking a windfall for these teams, do you know what I mean? We're talking potentially a massive amount of money that they probably never thought they would see. So Ross County are going to be up for it. They've quietly been probably one of the best teams in the country this season. I mean, they didn't win any of their first 10 games, and 23 games later they're in the top 6. Now I know Scottish football is not great, and you get teams, a good run of form can put you into the top 6, but they've got the top goal scorer in the league, and they've got some handy players. Charles Cook and the boy Hungbo are good players, and their defence, you get chances against them, but you don't see them taking many downs. I know we gave them a bit of a down at Parkhead the other week, but I think they've been tough to beat since they kind of got under. You don't want to give their manager too much credit because he's a bit of a dick, but he certainly did a decent job there, to be fair. Predictions, I'll just go for, I think it'll be 2-1 to Celtic. I think Celtic will be 2-0 up, lose a goal later on, but I don't think we'll probably be in any danger. I think Giakoumakis will get the two of them, and we'll just be looking forward to clinching the league against Rangers 7 days later.
Aye, like you say, there is obviously European football is massive for teams like that. The big thing is that ultimately a lot of these players might never get the chance to play in Europe, might never have played in Europe before, so it's obviously a massive thing for him as well. Both United and Ross County I mentioned, but Motherwell are in our team who I think they're only a point off United in fourth as well, so they'll know that if they drop points, then obviously the other two teams would about them will be looking to take advantage, so there'll be an extra edge for players like that in that game. Dan, on Danny's score prediction, do you disagree, or how do you think the game will go?
I'd like to come out and say it'll be 4 or 5-0, but I think it'll be quite tight, and I think Celtic will win it 2-0. I think Matt O'Reilly and Daizen Maeda will get the goals. I'd love us to just go fucking a couple of goals up early and just sort of kill the game as a contest, because I know everybody wants to see free-floating football, but especially after last week, I just want to get the win sewn up, and as you already mentioned, Andy, you don't want any repeats 97th-minute winners, because I don't think my heart could take it at this stage of the season. So aye, 2-0 for me, Maeda and Matt O'Reilly to get the goals.
I certainly can't be asked with that. Any late winners, I want to get the job done early, but I'm in two minds with the game. I've just got a feeling that we really are. I think the overwhelming feeling in me is that we're just going to come out absolutely rampant. I think the players are going to be up for it. I think all the shite that we've seen, their fucking stupid celebrations as if they've won the cup. I think so much of it's going to be just really sort of lighting the fire under the belly of the players to get us through to that end of the season and get this one out of the line. I think McGregor as well, I think the experience is going to shine through, and I can see us really turning up and sticking a couple by them. 3-4-0 sticking in my mind. I think you see it would entirely surprise me if we came away and it was a scrappy game, a 2-1 win, but there's something that's telling me the players are going to be right up for it, and we're going to see a couple of goals, and I hope it's Kyogo that gets them. I think he'll be key. If you can get him back, get him firing, then what an asset you've got going into the last couple of games of the season to get this sewn up. So I'm going to go 4-0. I'm going to go a Kyogo double and O'Reilly and McGregor on the score sheet. Tony had to nip away, so we're not getting his prediction off him, but I don't know. What we think? 5-0 Edward hat-trick or something? Usual.
Sounds as good a shout as any, really. Aye.
But
Oh, no, again, that's us for another couple of days, no doubt. As usual, thanks for listening. If you get the chance, do leave a review on us on wherever you listen to your podcast. I know Spotify have added that wee feature recently, so massively appreciate anybody that's leaving 5 stars. If it's hitting low, then I went to a fuck to yourself. But no, thanks for listening. See you next time.